Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. On today's tutorial, we'll be talking on how to make NYSC trouser, so stay tuned. We can also tag it a cargo pants or a streetwear pants. So kindly share, like, turn on your notification bell and give us a thumbs up. Thank you. Of fabric on the fold. Alright, so I'm going to be marking 2 inches at the bottom part. The 2 inches I'm marking is for seam allowance or for the folding, okay, for the hemming allowance. Then I'm using a rule to trace out my line properly. Alright, so the next thing I'll go ahead and mark now is the full length of my trouser. So the full length I'm working with is 40 inches. Okay, so I'm going to mark my 40 inches here. This is my 40 inches. Then the next thing I'm marking is my hip line. Hip line I'm working with is 8 inches. This is my 8 inches. The next thing is my lap line. My lap line is 12 inches. Okay, now I'm going to be adding a band to this, and it's going to be having a fly or a zip in front, so there will be changes. So I'm going to place my tape at -1 from the start point. So we're having 41 here, which is wrong, so I'm going to adjust my tape, placing it as 40. So my start point is going to start from here, -1 to 40, because there's going to be a band and there's going to be a zip in front. So this is what I have. So discard the first line. The second line is my start point. Then from -1 to 8, this is my hip line, and from -1 to 12, this is my lap line. I'll go ahead and mark a rule across. So now, after marking my horizontal line, I'll go ahead to insert my measurements. So my lap measurement is 24.5 inches. So I'm working divided by 2, add the extra 1 inch to it, which is 13.25 inches. So this is where it is at the tip here. Then my hip line is 40 inches divided by 4 plus 1, which will give me 11 inches. So I'll mark that both on my hip line, my waistline, and my lap line. So this is what I have. Then the next thing is I'm going to be marking my waist measurement. So my waist measurement is 28. Bottom of it is 7 plus 1 inch, making it 8 inches. Then I'm going to connect it to my hip line. Here, connect to my lap. Then I'm going to drag it down to the bottom of my trouser, or the full length of the trouser. Alright, this is what we have there. Then coming to this lap line, I'm going to be marking 1 inch out here, 1 inch up here, to form a cube, so I can be able to make a curve. So I'm going to make a curve now, this way. So this is the curve I've made. Alright, so now from here now I'm going to connect to my bottom line. So I'll go ahead and cut it. So to cut the back, the next thing I went ahead to do was to place the front piece on top of the fabric, which I folded into two. Then from this point I'm going to be marking 2 inches extra. Alright, so the back is going to be 2 inches extra than the front. So I'm going to mark my 2 inches here. Go ahead and mark the same thing till I get to the hem part, the bottom part of my trouser. This is from the lap line. So go ahead and make use of the rule and connect the points together. Okay. Then now I'm going to be marking my dart allowance for my skirts. What do I have as my dart allowance? So for my trousers, sorry. So I'm working with 4 inches for my dart allowance. I'm going to mark it up here. Okay, so this is my 4 inches dart. Then I'm going to divide it by 2, which I have 2. So at this point I'm going to go up by 2 inches. So now you divide your dart measurements. I have 4, I divided it into 2 and I have 2. So what I did was to come up by 2 inches. Okay, then I'm also going to mark my 2 inches out here. Then this is 2 inches I came up by. I'm now connected to my waistline, which is stopping here. So go ahead and connect it. So I've connected it now. Then at this lap point, the same thing you do to the front, form a cube, then make a C curve. That's something I will still do here. So my back piece is ready. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is, this is where my 4 falls in. I'm going to be marking the depth of my dart. So I'm working with 4 inches depth. So I'm going to mark it down. Then I will notch it later for easy identification. So now I will go ahead and cut this out. Do you want to pass? Eh? Do you want to pass? So this one, we'll now go ahead and cut out the pockets. Alright, so the next thing you're going to be cutting out is the band. Alright, so it depends on how long the waist of your client is, or the trouser you're making. So the first thing I'm going to do is my fabric on a plain fold. Like it's plain, it has not been folded. So the boldness of my band is going to be 2 inches. Alright, so what I have to do is I folded it once, then I'm going to fold this in a little, because I'm working with that later. So if you have an iron, what you do is you go ahead and press it down so it will not scatter. But you can go ahead and do what I'm doing. Okay. So this is what I have. There you check. I have 2 inches now. Okay. So you mark half an inch from this point. Now you mark half an inch out. This is for your joining. You're using it to join it to the trouser after sewing. So go ahead and mark it up to this point. All right. So now I don't know the actual my waist measurement because it's going to be having a button. So I'm just going to be marking randomly, let me say 2 inches. So even if it is too big, what I have to do is to trim it out. Okay. Or you can decide to add the extra 1.5 inch. But I think the band is more better to cut out when you are done sewing. But I just want to cut out everything, so when I start sewing, it's going to be very easy for me without much stress. That's why I'm cutting it now. Okay, so you go ahead and join the dots together, then cut out. Alright. This is my band. Now we'll talk about the pockets. Alright, so depends on how good you want your pockets to be. I'm working with 10 by 10 inches. Or let me say 12 by 12 inches. I'm working by 12 by 12 inches. This is for my side pockets. Just everywhere you go to make it to the destination, baby. So I still don't think this is straight. I'll still trim it off later. It's not straight for me. It's still not straight, right? It's still having some. Just trim it. Make it to be straight. Alright, so this is one. This is going to be by the side this way. Okay. So I'll go ahead and cut out two. It's going to be 2 pieces. The same thing I did for this side, I also cut it out for my back, pocket. Mind you, to still have a cover. Then it's going to have another one that is going to be a stylish design on it. So I'll go ahead and work with this. So now this is the pocket. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to top stitch it in on the middle of this. Okay, then this side I'm going to fold it in, fold it in, fold it in to make my pocket. It's also going to have a curve. So this is for the two sides of the pocket, but not the actual pocket. Okay, then we'll talk about the same way I cut this one. That's the same way I'm going to cut the pocket that is going to be at the back. Then the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the fly for our zip. Okay, so the boldness of our fly is going to be 2 inches, or let's say 2.5 inches. I'm working with 2.5 inches. And the length is going to be 9 inches. To get my curve properly. Alright, so now what I have here is 2.5 inches bold. The half inches is for joining. Then I'm going to mark it from here, from the start point to 7 inches. Alright, so from here now I'm going to make a curve into this area. So this is what I have. So this is my front piece, alright, and this is the right side. Then this is my pocket. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my pocket this thing under my front piece this way. So I've placed it, alright. The next thing I'm going to go ahead is I'm going to go ahead from here. I'm going to mark 2.5 inches. This is my 2.5. Then from the upper part I'm going to mark 6.5 or 7 inches, which is here. Alright, so I'll go ahead and make a notch on it. So now I'm making a notch this way. And this way. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my machine and run a stitch this way. I don't know if you can see what I drew clearly. So this is what I have. I'm going to run a stitch on it first. So after stitching it, this is what I have. I'll go ahead and trim it off. But I'm going to be leaving a few inches, right? Maybe half an inch. Now, assuming you have weaved it, what you have to do is just to toss it. But now I'm here to weave this. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm not weaving it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it in this way and run a stitch on it just to close off these rough edges. After which, this is what I have after closing it up. Alright, so I'll go ahead and push this out. Place it this way. This is going to come inside here. So this is what I'll be having. Alright, so now what do I do next? This inside pocket now, I'm going to flip it in this way and run a stitch on it. So when I'm done, I'm going to flip it over. So this is what I'm going to, the inside is going to be looking like. So this is what we have inside, okay? And this is the outside part of it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be joining the back piece to this, as I'll be joining the back to the front. So I'll go ahead and pick up this, my back. I'm going to place it here and run a stitch on it until I get to the end here. Okay, so that's what I will do next, after which I will fold the bottom part. So this is my side pocket. What I did was to fold it and iron it, alright, this way. Then the cover, which is this, what I did was to run a stitch on the two sides. So the next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull it out this way. Okay, I'm turning it out. Then I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch on it, on top stitch on it. The same thing I will do to this pocket, but that will be for this upper part only. That's where I'm going to top stitch, because this said I'm going to match it to the trouser. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to mark is from this top part of my trouser now. I'm going to place it and mark 18 inches. That's my new length. That's where my pockets, my side pocket is going to, I'm going to place my side pocket. Alright, so now this is it. I'm going to go ahead and run a top stitch on this to this point. Then this is the cover. I'm going to place it very close to it, not really too close, okay, and run a stitch on it, after which it will close it up this way. Alright, so let's do that. I have, after making this one side of the trouser, I went ahead and did the same thing to the other side of my trouser. Okay, and this is what I have too. So this is what it looks like. Let me place it this way. This is what it looks like. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is I want to fix my zip to this. Okay, so I'm going to be picking up this my front now. I'm going to be turning it to the wrong side of it. From the top part, I'm going to mark 7 inches. From this top part, I'm going to mark my 7 inches. So this 7 inches, that's where my zip is going to stop. Okay, so from here now, I'm going to stitch it inside here. Okay, so but before stitching it, I'm going to first of all, this is my fly. Okay, I'm going to first of all stitch my fly on both sides of the distance. Mark my 7 inches. I'm going to stitch it here, reach here, and I'm also going to do the same thing using this other side for the other part. So I'll go ahead now. I've finished inserting my fly. Okay, so I'll go ahead and close it up. Remember, we marked from the up to this to 7 inches. Then from here I'm going to run a stitch and close it up this way. Alright, that's what I'm going to do. Then we'll not talk about the zip. So now this is what I'm having. So now this is what I have. Alright, this is my fly, my zip allowance. This is what it looks like. Okay, so now I'm going to be working with this zip. What I have to do first is I'm going to be placing this zip. I'm going to open my fly this way, top stitch, or better still to be, I'm going to run a stitch this way on it first. I'm going to run a stitch here, after which I'll bring it out this way and top stitch on it. Okay, so I'll first of all run a stitch on it. So let me run a stitch first. So I've run a stitch on this way. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be top stitching on it. So this side now, I'm going to top stitch on it to this point here. Top stitching it, this is what I have. Alright, I'm going to be using this other to cover this up. Alright, so this is what we'll be having. Okay, now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to also be top stitching on this other part. So from here now, let me get a rule. So from here now, all right, this is this way. So this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to run a stitch here, then I'm going to push it inward here. Okay, I'm done. This is what I will have in. Okay, so this is my zip. All right, so the next thing I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be measuring what I have as my waistline, and I'm going to close it up, both the back and the front. So now I'll go ahead and run a stitch. This is my back piece. I'm going to go ahead and run a stitch on this crotch line. Then I'm also going to close up the sides. All right, so the same thing I'm also going to do for my front. Also go ahead and close up the side. So after shaping the back crotch and the front, now I'm going to pick up, make it center to center. This is my back and front. All right, so I'm going to pick it center to center. This is my back, this is my front, and I'm going to shape it and get to this bottom part. The same thing here, and get to this bottom part. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and fix my band to the waist. All right, so now this is how the band is. Remember, I made a fold in this way, so though I'm yet to iron it, so I'm going to place it this way, close it up, and also do the same thing. I'm going to place it this way, close it up, and also do the same thing to this edge. All right, to this end. Then I'm going to fix it to my trouser. So the next thing I went ahead to cut out was my belt holder. So this is it, after which I'll attach it to it. I'm done attaching, fixing the band to my trouser. This is what I have. All right, I'm still going to top stitch on top of it after attaching my belt holder. So how am I going to attach my belt holder now? Let's assume I'm attaching my belt holder here, for instance. I'm going to top stitch on it this way. I'm only top stitching, so for me I'm going to top stitch, then I'm going to run a stitch here to hold it down. So that's what I'm going to do. So for my belt holder, I want it to have a sharp edge. This is the pattern I'm working on. I don't want it to just be in block form. I want to give it a stylish design. All right, so this is what it should look like. For those who may ask, the length of this is 6.25, or let's say 6 inches by 5 inches. Alright, that's the length of the belt holder.